Smokey Robinson, the Motown icon we've praised for decades, is now at the center of a deeply troubling allegation. In May of 2025, 4 of his former employees filed a lawsuit in Los Angeles Superior Court, accusing him of sexual assault, battery, false imprisonment, gender violence, and creating a hostile work environment. These charges don't just come with legal weight, they come with emotional gravity, right? And for longtime fans, they're starting to challenge the image that has been carried of a man known for his poetic lyrics and decades of black musical excellence, if you will. Even more shocking is that his wife, Frances Robinson, is named as a co-defendant, and that suggests that this lawsuit isn't just about individual behavior, it's about pointing to a toxic and possibly complicit environment. From the outside looking in, Smokey Robinson has always represented class and sophistication in the R&B and Motown world. Again, from the outside looking in. So to hear that these alleged incidents include rape, predatory behavior, and even manipulation, it's jarring. And the accusations didn't come from anonymous Twitter accounts or tabloid whispers and none of that. These are formal legal filings with multiple women detailing eerily similar stories. Now, as someone who's loved R&B and loved R&B history for a long time and understands what Smokey meant to the culture, this is a really deep gut punch. And no amount of Grammy wins or Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions can erase the seriousness of these allegations. And if it comes out that these claims hold weight, then justice needs to speak louder than the nostalgia, period. And let's talk about what's actually being alleged, because this ain't no light work. These aren't vague claims floating in rumor. This is about a pattern of alleged abuse that paints a chilling picture of life behind the gates of Smokey Robinson's Los Angeles mansion. The lawsuit includes 4 former employees, each with their own story, but 2 of them stand out. The first woman, identified as a Jane Doe, says that the abuse started in 2016. According to court documents, Smokey would text her and ask her to meet in parts of the house without surveillance cameras, specifically the laundry room or garage. And when they were alone, she claims he would sexually assault and rape her. Now pause for a second and think about that. This wasn't some random encounter or a misunderstood interaction. These are planned, private moments, allegedly orchestrated by a man who knew exactly where the cameras were and where they weren't. Then there's a second plaintiff, a former housekeeper. She says the assaults started just 1 month after she was hired. She describes a routine where Smokey would take his wife Frances to the nail salon on Saturdays, then rush back home, not to rest, but to allegedly rape her in his own bed, ignoring her resistances. And that paints a picture not just of calculated behavior, but of somebody that's weaponizing power and routine. This second woman says she quit in February of 2024 after enduring these alleged violations. Think about how much she must have endured before reaching that point. And when you think about the world that a lot of these famous people build for themselves, it's a world where someone's fame and status made it harder for others to speak up. You know what I'm saying? When multiple women from different backgrounds tell overlapping stories, it's hard to ignore the consistency. And that's what makes this more than just an accusation. To me, it feels like a deeper cultural reckoning. These women deserve to be heard, and their trauma needs to be taken seriously. Let's get into something that really raises eyebrows in this case. The inclusion of Frances Robinson, Smokey's wife, as a co-defendant in the lawsuit. That detail alone takes this situation to another level, because this ain't about one man's alleged behavior. It's about an environment, possibly a system that allows it to continue unchecked. According to the second plaintiff, Frances played a key, though silent, part in the pattern. Every Saturday, she'd go to the nail salon with Smokey, but the lawsuit claims that Smokey wasn't just a dotting husband. He had a tactical routine. After dropping Frances off, he'd allegedly rush home, specifically to be alone with the housekeeper. And during that time, she says he raped her in his marital bed. And here's the thing, Frances may not have committed assaults herself, but the suit argues that she helped create or enable, that's a better word for it, enable a hostile work environment. And when you name someone as a co-defendant in a case involving sexual violence, it means that the legal team believes that there's a shared accountability there. Whether it's through neglect, willful ignorance, or passive complicity, they're saying that she had a role to play. And this opens up an uncomfortable but necessary conversation. What happens when someone knows, suspects, or allows abuse to happen under their roof? Whether it's a spouse, a manager, a business partner, whoever, silence can speak volumes. And the law is beginning to recognize that silence as actionable harm. And this part cuts deep because we don't usually associate Motown love songs and Motown love stories with darkness. Smokey and Frances were supposed to be that classic couple, but this lawsuit is forcing us to re-examine that myth. We always talk about how things were different in the old school, and it wasn't. Let's be honest. It really wasn't. Times change. People don't. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Times change. people don't. If Francis knew and said nothing, or worse, enabled the patterns, then justice has to look at both partners, not just the one with the microphone, not just who's been this big name for years and decades and generations. It's a painful but powerful reminder that proximity to abuse can equal complicity. And, let's be real. Let's be real on both sides. Smokey Robinson is Motown royalty. I'm not saying he's not. This man didn't just contribute to the culture. He helped build the foundation. From everything from the Miracles to his solo hits, to his songwriting genius behind classics like My Girl or Tears of a Clown or whatever else, his fingerprints are on nearly every corner of R&B history. But now, all of that is at risk of being recontextualized. Because once allegations of sexual assault and rape enter the conversation, the way we look at a person and their legacy changes. Everybody from Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Russell Simmons, these are figures once deeply respected in their fields, but their names are now synonymous with harm, secrecy, abuse, and more. The same reckoning could be coming for Smokey. Will tributes and honors pause or pull back? Will fans be able to separate the man from the music, or will his catalog get wrapped up in the same complicated legacy we've seen with others? And let's not forget, Smokey isn't just some pop culture icon. He represents a certain class of R&B music. His lyrics were poetic, romantic, full of longing and devotion and all that. And that's what makes these allegations even more jarring. It's not just a man being accused. It's a myth being shattered. And as someone who has always spoke highly of Smokey's influence, this is a bit painful to process. Culture cannot move forward if it only celebrates its heroes and never, I want to say interrogate, but that's not the right word. If we want a legacy that's truly worth preserving, it has to include the full truth, even the uncomfortable parts. I don't care what nobody say. We can't cherry pick greatness without also holding it accountable. And here's where things get even more tense. Smokey and Francis haven't said a word publicly since the allegations dropped. No denial, no legal statement, no vague, we're looking into it type of PR spin, just silence. And in cases like this, silence doesn't sit still. It grows louder by the day, right? And let's be fair, legally, right? They're likely being advised to stay quiet. Anything said publicly can be used in court. Can and will be used in court. That's basic legal strategy. But at the same time, this isn't just a courtroom issue. It's a cultural one. When the public hears multiple women come forward with serious overlapping sides and overlapping stories of abuse, and the accused says nothing, it feels less like protection and more like avoidance. We ain't in the 1980s no more. We ain't in the 1990s no more. Accountability is expected, especially from public figures. And when you've built a career on charm, elegance, romanticism, and all that, like Smokey has, a blank silence in the face of these allegations feels like a betrayal of the very persona that he sold us. It ain't just fans who are watching. It's fellow artists. It's some of his Motown alumni that are still alive. And the media, the generations that grew up with his music. And even the people that weren't even alive yet, like me, that grew up with his music playing in the background of family barbecues, weddings, playlists. And, right now, everybody's wondering, why the silence? In some ways, the lack of response speaks louder than any press release ever could. If these allegations were false, I'd expect a swift and emphatic denial, especially from someone as media savvy as Smokey. But this silence, I don't know, it breeds a bit of suspicion. And even if he eventually breaks it, the timing will matter, because the longer you stay quiet in a moment this loud, the more it looks like you're hiding, not healing. So now the question becomes, what does justice look like? And more importantly, what does accountability look like in a case like this? And legally, the case is in its early stages. A lawsuit has been filed in the Los Angeles Superior Court. And if the plaintiff's claims are upheld, we could see anything from financial settlements to criminal charges, depending on whether prosecutors pick it up and how deep this story actually goes. If the allegations are proven in court, it could mark one of the most tragic and dramatic falls from grace in Motown history. But beyond the courtroom, there's another form of justice. And it's the justice that happens when the public begins to reevaluate an icon. When fans start asking, can I still play his music? Do I still honor this man? Do I still support this person? That type of justice is messy, emotional, and personal. And it doesn't come with a gavel. It comes with conversations. It comes with choices. It comes with community dialogue. And let's not forget the survivors. Real justice means they're not dismissed, disbelieved, or silenced, especially when they've already risked their privacy and well-being to speak up. Whether their stories are proven in court or not, their bravery it takes to come forward against a celebrity as beloved as Smokey cannot be overstated. Justice to me, means telling the truth out loud, no matter how uncomfortable it is. If Smokey Robinson is guilty of these acts, then his legacy needs to reflect that. And if he's not, then he owes the public, and more importantly, those women, a clear and honest response. Either way, the silence must end and the system must respond, because legacy isn't just about what you built. It's about how you live when no one is watching. It's about integrity. It's about who you are when nobody is watching. This story is still unfolding, and we'll be here to follow it, because honoring our culture doesn't mean protecting every idol. It means protecting the truth. Stay informed, stay grounded, and always keep your eyes open. Peace.